The letter sat on his mahogany desk, no name, no stamp, just trembling handwriting that said, "Can you read this letter? It's very important." When Ethan Cole, one of the country's youngest and coldest CEOs, first saw it, he almost threw it aside. He had no time for anonymous letters. But something about the shaky pen strokes and the faint smudge of what looked like a tear mark froze his hand. Against every instinct, he opened it. Inside, only one sentence: "Please don't forget me when you see the stars tonight." And beneath that, a child's drawing, a man holding hands with a little girl under a sky full of stars. That was the moment everything started to fall apart. It had been weeks since Ethan's world had begun to crumble in ways no business loss could compare to. Once celebrated as a ruthless dealmaker, Ethan was a man who built walls so high that no one, not even his employees, not even his wife before she left, could climb them. But this letter cracked something inside him. Because he recognized that drawing. The little girl with the short brown curls and blue ribbon in her hair, that was Lily, his daughter, and she'd been gone for 3 years. The day Lily died, something inside Ethan did too. He buried himself in work, avoided every memory that reminded him of her laugh, her piano, her bedtime stories. He told himself he was too broken to love again, too guilty to remember. But now this letter, this impossible letter, had found its way back to him. Ethan called his secretary. "Who dropped this off?" "No one knows, sir," she said softly. "Security footage shows nothing." Nothing. As if the letter had appeared out of thin air that night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The city lights outside his penthouse flickered like restless ghosts, and the sound of the rain on the glass seemed to whisper her name. Lily. He walked into her old room untouched since the day they lost her and sat on the edge of her little bed. Her teddy bear was still there, her music box still played that same faint lullaby. When he opened the music box, another folded piece of paper fell out. This one said, in the same handwriting, "If you want to know my final wish, go back to where we used to feed the birds." The next morning, Ethan drove 2 hours out of the city to the small park near the lake. It was where Lily used to chase pigeons and make him promise that one day they'd see the stars from a mountain top together. He stood there in the chill wind, staring at the empty bench they always sat on. An elderly woman was sitting there now, wrapped in a shawl, feeding crumbs to the birds. When she saw Ethan, she smiled faintly. "I was told you might come," she said. Ethan frowned. "Told by who?" "By the little girl," she replied. "She asked me to give you this." The woman handed him a small envelope sealed with a red ribbon, Lily's favorite color. Inside was a child's handwriting again. "Daddy, if you ever read this, it means I'm watching from the stars. I don't want you to be sad anymore. My final wish is simple: help the children who have no one. Love them like you wanted to love me. That's how I'll live again." Ethan couldn't breathe. He dropped to his knees as tears blurred everything around him. The world spun, the birds, the trees, the woman, all distant. He clutched the letter to his chest, feeling like her tiny hand was still there, holding his. Days turned into weeks. Ethan couldn't let go of those words. For the first time in years, he didn't wake up thinking about profit margins or board meetings. He began visiting orphanages quietly, anonymously at first. He sponsored medical treatments, education, and built homes for children with no families. The world started to see a different Ethan Cole, one who smiled, one who listened, one who cared. But what the world didn't know was that every act of kindness began with a whisper he heard at night: "Thank you, Daddy." One day, while overseeing the new Children's Foundation, he met a little girl who changed everything. Her name was Emma. She was 7, with the same brown curls and bright eyes Lily once had. She was blind, yet she painted sunsets. She told him she could see light through sound. When she laughed, it was the same music that used to echo in his home. Ethan began spending time with her, teaching her to play piano by touch. And one evening, as the sun dipped and Emma's small hands found the melody, she said softly, "Lily says thank you. She says you finally heard her letter." Ethan froze. "What did you say?" Emma smiled, her blind eyes glowing with warmth. "She talks to me when I sleep. She said her daddy finally kept his promise." That night, Ethan looked up at the stars again, holding both letters in his hand. The city was silent. The world felt lighter. For the first time in years, he whispered, "I love you, baby girl." And as if the heavens themselves replied, a single star streaked across the sky, bright, quick, and gone. But in his heart, he knew she wasn't gone at all. She was everywhere now, in the laughter of children, in the music of life, in every soul he touched because of her. Sometimes, the smallest voices carry the greatest messages, as sometimes, a letter from a child can rebuild what grief once destroyed, and sometimes, the ones we lose don't disappear, they simply wait for us to remember how to love again, because love never dies. The morning after Emma's haunting words, Ethan sat in his office staring at the city skyline. For years, it had represented success, now it only reflected the emptiness he'd built around himself. The letter from Lily and the voice of that blind little girl had changed something deep inside him. For the first time, he didn't want to build empires, he wanted to build meaning. He walked into the Children's Foundation that same afternoon. The walls were filled with laughter and footsteps echoing down bright hallways. Emma was sitting by the piano, her small fingers running across the keys as if feeling for a heartbeat. When she sensed his presence, she smiled. "You came back, Mr. Ethan." "I told you I would," he said softly. "You don't sound like a man who breaks promises," she replied, still playing lightly. "Lily said you didn't mean to leave. You were just lost." Those words struck him like lightning. He knelt beside her. "Emma, how do you know all this?" "I told you," she said innocently. "Lily talks to me sometimes. She says she likes that you smile again." Ethan's throat tightened. He didn't know if it was imagination, miracle, or a desperate father's heart searching for signs, but he knew one thing: Lily's memory had returned to guide him through this little girl.